Welcome to today's session, everyone.
We are PreMed CC, a student-led organization established in the fall of 2021.
Our goal as an organization was to create an online program for pre-medical students at community colleges and universities, with the hope of guiding the next generation of diverse and inclusive physicians.
And while we advertise our organization as being for community college students, our events are open to anyone.
We realize that finding guidance and mentorship in a pre-med journey can be especially challenging for first-generation pre-med students,
people that lack the financial resources, or just those who do not know people in the medical field.
One of the best parts about our events is that they are virtual, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home.
We typically have events on Fridays from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 12:30 Pacific Standard Time.
If you aren't able to attend the event, all of our sessions are uploaded on our YouTube channel.
Many of our sessions will end up with a Q&A with the speakers.
Any questions that you have, you may put it in the Q&A session on Zoom, and our team members will read them and have them answer.
After you have attended our event, you can log into our website and complete the quiz, which will contain questions pertaining to our session today.
If you score 70% or higher on the quiz, you will be awarded a certificate to show that you attended our session today.
If you want to stay connected with the upcoming events or just want to tell your pre-med friends about the PreMed CC, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as @PreMedCC.
Right, so we are excited to have Jeff Oxendine with us today. Hopefully I said that correctly.
Oxendine, actually.
Oxendine. Thank you.
That's okay.
Jeff Oxendine has been a health executive, educator, and consultant for 27 years, having held senior administrative positions in hospitals, medical groups, academic institutions, and his own consulting firm. He is the president and co-founder of Health Career Connection and was previously an associate dean of public health practice at UC Berkeley School of Public Health. He was also a leader in the California Health Workforce and Diversity efforts as co-director of the California Health Professions Consortium and the California Health Workforce Alliance. Jeff taught healthcare management at UC Berkeley School of Public Health and previously taught for 5 years at Harvard School of Public Health. Before his time at Berkeley, he held executive roles in leading organizations, including Partners Healthcare System, Brigham and Women's Hospital, Bate Imaging Consultants Medical Group, and Alta Bates Medical Center. Jeff graduated with his master's in business administration and in public health from UC Berkeley. Thanks for being with us today, Jeff.
Thanks so much, Mindy, for having me, and thanks to Jubin for this opportunity as well. And happy Saturday, everyone. It's so great to be with you. I look forward to sharing information about Health Career Connection, which is an internship opportunity for you, and hopefully you'll take advantage of that. I'll also share some other internship opportunities that are available to you. And then we can talk a little bit more specifically about how you can pursue what I call your authentic health career, the one that suits your unique talents, passions, goals, and lived experience. And that may be a doctor. Hopefully that's a doctor for you, but if not, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways you can have an impact. And we'll talk about some resume tips and interview tips and those kinds of things. So with that, Mindy, if I can share my screen, I would love to get started. Actually, I would love to see in the chat first who's here. So I know, can you maybe just put in, those of you in the audience here, put in where you're coming in from today and what your level in school is and what your health career interest is. Just put some of that in the chat so I can see who I'm speaking with here. Yeah, where you're going to school, where you're coming in from today, your health career interest. Ah, there we go. Already have a look at that survey ready to go. This is really helpful. And thanks for taking time to be part of your Saturday with me.
Hey, a public health major.
How about that? Right off the bat. Way to go, Gabby.
From Pasadena.
Way to go. All right. Well, it'll be great to see a little bit more about who's here. Pasadena is a great city college too. Do we have other colleges here? All right. Well, all right. Irvine. Great. Here we go. UCLA, go Bruins. Yay. Foothill, USC, Sac State. Fantastic. Even with Indiana. Orange Coast. Excellent. All right. I feel like I'm in great company now. I know a little bit more about who's here. Go Cal State LA. Well, I'm going to share my screen and dive in. So as I mentioned, I'm first going to talk about Health Career Connection. Mindy, can you see my slides? Fantastic. All right. So Health Career Connection is a national nonprofit. It's one that I had the privilege of founding and have been the CEO of for 33 years. Its mission is to inspire and empower.
You started it when you were 3 years old, right?
Exactly, Jubin. Yeah, exactly. Right when I got out of diapers, I was there starting Health Career Connection. And so, yeah, but I did this because in my own situation, I went to Chico State for undergraduate. Then I really was fortunate to have an internship that changed my life and launched my health career. I got a job. I was interested in, unlike you, I wasn't interested in medicine. Most of you, I wasn't good at science, didn't see myself being a clinician. So I was passionate about public health and health management. And I had this internship that was great. It affirmed I wanted to go into hospital administration. It helped me to find mentors. I got letters of recommendation for grad school. I got connected to UC Berkeley, where I ended up going from my graduate work and ended up teaching. Ultimately, I built a network. I learned how to network. Like all those things came from that internship experience. So a few years later, that program, the money had run out. And so I and some of the other people who'd been in that program started up what's now Health Career Connection. Much like PreMed CC, we are really about supporting everyone, but particularly we want to build that next generation of diverse health leaders and professionals. We have a summer internship program and a health equity scholars program that I'm going to share with you about. We are focused on you, undergraduate students. That's including community college, 4-year students. Also recent graduates, if anyone has graduated. We know sometimes people need some time post-undergraduate to figure out what they want to do or get ready for medical school or public health, whatever they want to pursue. We really are about people who are first generation in their family to go to college, from low-income backgrounds, underrepresented backgrounds, and we want to have you have that same kind of experience that I did of having a life-changing, career-launching internship. We fortunately had over 5,000 students who are now our alumni of HCC and our HCC family, and they stay involved in HCC. Many of them are mentors, they're preceptors of other interns now. They come back and speak. They support students in many different ways. And so we are supporting our alumni too to go on and become leaders in medicine, in public health, in behavioral health, and in all aspects of the health field. We really support people to do priority project work in areas like public health, healthcare, behavioral health advocacy. We have life sciences. What we don't have is we don't have research internships, although sometimes some of our internships students do like qualitative research. We had a program in 2022 where students worked with UCSF faculty members in Los Angeles and in San Diego, studying people that are homeless and what were their health needs, what were their social needs, how could they best be impacted. And we had students out in the field, surveying people, connecting with people, supporting people. So we do have some of those kind of applied research kinds of roles. So that's we don't have clinical roles. We don't have clinical experiences, which I know many of you may be interested in, but we have people who work with clinicians on projects like quality improvement, process improvement, patient satisfaction, how to improve cultural linguistic competence. So you're still working in a setting where you could be in which clinical care is provided. And you see how the whole system works together, what people do. You get to work with clinicians. You may, depending on your internship, but you don't actually provide clinical kind of services. So that's a little bit about what PreMed's about. We're all about having people from the communities. I love seeing the communities where you all are from. We want to have people from the community do internships in their community if possible, or in nearby communities, and see that you can serve your community, build a network there, get connected to employers, get connected to grad schools so you can get jobs to be able to go forward from there. We want the health workforce to look more like this picture here, with a little bit people who are from all different aspects of our population, speak different languages, have different lived experiences. And we have a pretty good track record of supporting people to be successful. And people, HCC interns, are happy with their experience. Some of the things I'm really proud of are that they build professional skills, and people talk about, hey, I built some valuable professional skills that will help me pursue my health career. People increase their networks, which is really important. I have a saying, it's either network or not work. And so some of you may be going, oh, no, I don't like networking, or I'm afraid of networking. That's all natural. So experiences like HCC help people in a warm and in a welcoming way learn how to develop their networks, and including people in the HCC family. I love that 71% of our interns either receive a job offer or they extend their internship in some way, which is a way to get your first job after college, get that experience before graduate school, get paid well for doing some work, that kind of thing. So this is what we're about. Our mission, we studied our alumni last year, and we had interviews with them and a survey, and we wanted to ask them about the impact of HCC on their career journey. And these are the words that they use to describe what impact HCC had on them. And these are exciting for me because it shows that we're fulfilling our mission. These are we're about inspiring and empowering the next generation of diverse health leaders and professionals to advance health equity and racial justice, to have great lives and careers, and to find those mentors. And so you can see the kind of words that people use are aligned with that, which is great. Here's an example of Felix, one of our alums. We want you to know what's possible. So Felix is like, yeah, I didn't really know what was possible for me. So we want you to get exposure, to have that experience, to see, oh, this is what's possible. Because if you can see it, then you can be it, right? And then not only did it help in Felix's case, like many of the others, see what's possible. We help facilitate them getting jobs, and Felix got a job through HCC, not his current job, but got a job through HCC. People get into graduate school. As I mentioned, we have 5,000 folks that are doing great kinds of things. So these are the kind of things we hope you would have by being part of HCC. We also are really preparing our alumni to go on to graduate school. And what we found in our study is that 82% of our alumni go on to complete a graduate degree after being in a Health Career Connection. These are some of our graduate school partners. You can see we partner with some of the top medical schools in the country, and with some of the top public health schools in the country. So they're part of the HCC family too. And so what they do is we have them do workshops for our students. We have graduate education workshops that these schools participate in. They also have outreach events. We have alumni at these different schools. Columbia Mailman School of Public Health has had so many HCC alums go there. They even have a scholarship now that if you're an HCC alum, you automatically qualify for a $40,000 scholarship to Columbia School of Public Health. And so these are would be part of the family if you're part of HCC. So what we do is we have paid full-time 10-week summer intern programs. As again, for undergraduate students and recent graduates, they're paid, which is important. You all have a lot of value. You do good work. We want to help you with your expenses. It's expensive to live these days. And so we have an educational stipend. It's not an hourly rate, but by being in HCC's educational program, you get an educational stipend that kind of ranging between those levels that are on the screen there. We're trying to get as many people to the higher amount as possible, and some even pay more depending on the internship. It's determined by the organization that you work for. So HCC, we help connect you to organizations where you can do your internship, and then they provide us with funding to pay your educational stipend. So you can have a great life-changing experience as well as get paid, which is what we're all about. We do this in many regions of the country. You can see we're all over California. We have really 5 regions. We have a Northern California. We have a Central California. program. These are all cohorts, by the way. These are cohorts of students from all these different areas who come together. So we have in Northern California, which is really a kind of above Sacramento down to like King City, Salinas, that area. We have Central California, which are all the Central California counties, including Fresno, Merced, Madera, those areas. We have our Coachella Valley program, which is in the Coachella Valley, and we have internships in the rest of Southern California. San Diego is another region for us, Inland Empire. So we partner with 300 organizations. They could be hospitals, health centers, primary care organizations, universities to host our students. We also have opportunities for those of you who might be interested in the Midwest, in Chicago, Minneapolis, Detroit, and in Boston, New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Washington, D.C., Baltimore. So when you apply to HCC, you would specify which regions as are my preferences for doing my internship. So you could say, well, I'm interested in the Central Valley first. Second would be Southern California, and third would be Northern California. Or you might say, hey, I'm interested in Northern California, but I'd be up for going to Boston as my second choice, and then New York City, something like that. So you get to select where you want to do your internships. And then what we would do is we would consider you with the other pool of applicants in that same region for the opportunities that we have available. And our job is to get as many of those opportunities as possible. We often don't have enough for all the quality students, but we really do our best. And the process that we have, is for you to apply. Well, I'll share the process in a minute, but this is our reach within HCC. Is there a question about this? Let's see. The opportunities are more. These are hands-on, practical experiences. These are more working in a community health center, in a public health department. They could have some there could be a health plan, a biopharma company. There could be some research, but as I mentioned earlier, they're not focused on research. These are more practical, hands-on experiences, working on real issues in organizations. Research could be what that organization might be studying as far as the clients they're serving or the needs that the population have or those things, but it's not a research-focused internship. All right, the next slide here. My screen is not happy. Let's see, I don't want this new toolbar. Hold on a second. Okay, so we have a very comprehensive educational program. As I just mentioned, that our experiences are hands-on experience. It's a very structured program. You set out to you have an internship plan with clear objectives and deliverables, action steps. Some of the objectives are for you to build your network, or for you to build a certain skill, to find mentors, but they're also to complete projects that are meaningful projects for you and for the organization. You have mentoring from your preceptor in your organization, maybe other people in that organization, as well as from Health Career Connection staff and alumni. We really build it with our cohort models. You build a community with the people that are in your same regional program that are from all different kinds of schools and backgrounds and interests, which is really great. And you network with them, plus with our alumni and professionals. And then our program, we have a lot of professional development, as you saw people build skills. So we have trainings in things like Excel, in project management, giving presentations, cultural linguistic competency, racial justice, those kinds of things, and as well as helping prepare you for graduate schools. And as I mentioned before, connecting you to people in those graduate programs. So these are the elements of our program. It's really kind of an apprenticeship model in which you get paired with a preceptor within an organization, and all these different types of organizations that is there to mentor you, and you learn by doing, right? You learn by doing, working under them, seeing how they work, getting guided by them. And you do a lot of meaningful project work. This is not administrative work, or this is really like meaningful stuff that the organization actually uses. Our students have done things like written grants that have gotten $1 million for their organization, so there's things that you're doing that are meaningful, kinds of things. So who do we partner with? You saw our graduate school partners earlier. These are the partners that we work with. So you can see we range from health plans like Blue Shield health plans to community health centers. we really prioritize, community health centers, working with them. We have hospitals, I covered California even. We also work with public health. That's where a priority for us is to have people get exposure and experience to governmental public health. So you can see, we have public health organizations in big places like Los Angeles, but also throughout the state and throughout the country. We really are prioritizing behavioral health internships and having people get exposed to behavioral health careers. Behavioral health is mental health and substance use. And so there is no health without mental health. And in many communities like my Native American tribe, substance use is one of the biggest issues. And so we really want to expose students to the possibilities within mental health so that people will really consider that. It's a huge need for all of us, particularly some of the populations that have been most impacted by COVID and a lot of the other things going on in the world these days. So those of you interested in psychology, community health, health management, or your medicine, it could be also interested in this, being psychiatrists. So we work with a lot of mental health partners all throughout the country as well. We have biopharma partnerships. And so we were doing this in our Northern California, Southern California, Boston, Midwest, New York regions. And they're the kind of internships, some of them are for people who want to be in wet labs, some are dry labs, some are the business side of things, more analytics, marketing, finance, compliance, regulatory affairs, some of those kind of things. So it's really interesting to get exposed to what's possible in biotech and biopharma. We need those companies to be culturally responsive in terms of what they're developing and how they market and those kinds of things. So you can do a lot of things in those organizations. And here's some of the skills that you probably have, many of you from your courses or from some of your lab research work or those kind of things that are going to be relevant here. So not just lab related skills, although those could be really important, or you can have programming, related skills to do data analyses. And we have people that do sort of quantitative biology, type work, but also just, hey, you're good at doing literature reviews, at working on people issues or writing or those kinds of things. So so there's a lot that you can do on the biopharma side as well. So you can see, we really are trying to provide a wide range of opportunities so that you can discover which one is the best aligned with your interests. Or you can explore something. Maybe you know that you want to be in medicine, but hey, this summer, let me explore public health, or let me explore biopharma, just to see, what is there to be offered there. And is it something that you might want to do? The key at your stage of your career is to get as much exposure to what's possible as possible. And then to gain good practical experience, to find mentors, to build your networks, and to be able to go towards your health career goals and dreams. We also have, so those are our paid full-time internships. They are expected to be really full-time. So it's not something you can do if you're taking summer school, if you're studying for the MCAT, though you have to work other kinds of jobs. So for the internships, you'd have to be all in, doing that kind of work. For the Health Equity Scholars Program, it's a virtual program, whereas the internships could be virtual, but a lot of them are in-person or hybrid. So if you're looking for a fully virtual experience, Health Equity Scholars Program is a part-time program, so that you could go to summer school, you could study for the MCAT, you could do some of those things. You still get paid a stipend, but it's more workshop based. All those workshops I mentioned to you that you would gain is the same as the internship, and you do a team-based consulting project. So you still learn by doing an actual project for an organization. And again, these are not, these could have some research components, because sometimes academic, some professors at UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Irvine, do offer some projects here that are more research-based. But most of them are still practical-oriented projects. But it's a good learning experience. It's also a cohort. You still get all the benefits of being in the HCC family. And so the Health Equity Scholars Program is a part-time program. It's open to anybody in the country. And so to be eligible for these programs, you have to currently be enrolled in an undergraduate program, and again, community college or 4-year. Or you can have graduated within 3 years. You can still apply if you've graduated within 3 years. You can be in a post-bac program. That's fine, as long as you're able to do the full-time or part-time experience. We're not available for graduate students, and we're not available for people who are in high school and are also kind of taking community college classes at the same time. That's really great. We encourage you to do that. We'll see you when you get a little bit further in your college career. So that's who's eligible. The application is live, and it's due on December the 11th. So you do have some time. It's great that that PreMed CC made this session available now, so you can have time to be able to get your application in. And
Mr. Oxendine, I have a question.
Yes.
What if I want to apply December 12th or 13th, or I missed that deadline? What happens?
It's not available. It's not available.
What if they email me and
So the goal.
What if they email me and ask that if you could make an exception, or if they email you if you could make an exception? What would that response be?
Well, the response is that the deadline is the deadline, and people have you have notice, right? You've got time. It does take the application, and it does take some work to be able to do it.
I just want to ask this because it happened last year. People were emailing. Somebody got hold of my email and was asking me about programs that have already closed. And even though I have the pleasure of knowing Mr. Oxendine, he won't do that for me. So just want to put that out there in the universe that it's a question. It comes down to the question of fairness, and it's not fair to everybody else that's applied on time. So just want to put that out there in the universe, because I know it's going to happen, but just.
Yeah, no, it's really important. I mean, deadlines are deadlines for a reason, right? In our case, we need to have time to be able to review all your applications and be able to select the students. And it is about fairness, as Jubin said. That many people work really hard. They sacrifice. They have midterms, they have finals, and other things, and so. The deadline is the deadline, and you have till midnight on the 11th, midnight Pacific time. And there are people whose applications come in exactly at 11:59. I wouldn't recommend it because you never know. There could be an issue with the website or something like that. Plus, you'll do your better work if you start on it early. But we know you're juggling many things, which is why we give people till December 11th to be able to do it. So, so those are the deadlines. The deadline. After that, we do interviews in virtual or in-person interviews with folks, and when it varies by region. Sometimes our Southern California interviews are later in January because people get out of school later in Southern California, but in some of the regions they're earlier in the organization. Then we send you to a second round. So you would interview with us virtually or in person, and then we would select a subset of people to go to the next round, which is to be able to meet with host organizations, because we want you to get to meet with them to see if you like what they have to offer, and if you like the people you'd be working with. And you would rank the organizations that you meet with, would rank the people that they met with, and then we would finalize some placements in April and get you onboarded and start the program in June through September. Some internships might start in late May if people are getting out of school on the semester system earlier. Some might not start till the end of June, depending on when folks get out. So that's our application process and our timeline. There's a lot of resources on our webpage. Website. There's FAQs, and you can reach out to those info at Health Careers with some of your questions. And then I'm going to go through just what are part of the applications, give you some tips, and then we'll have some dialogue about your questions. So you first have to be able to register on. There's two steps. You come on and you go to healthcareers.org, you click on apply, and you register first. They will ask you some questions about your background, and then once that's in, then you'll get a link to complete the application itself, in which you're going to rank those preferences, as I mentioned earlier. Which regions do you want to be in, and in which order do you want to be in them? And then there's some short essay responses that I'll talk to you about, and there's a resume. There's not letters of recommendation. There's not transcripts, which I know a lot of programs ask for both of those kinds of things. We used to require those things, but we don't want there to be barriers for people to apply. So you will self-report your GPA and those kinds of things. But we do have you write some essays about why you want to be in the health field, why you want this internship, about your backgrounds and those kinds of things. So speaking of those, there's going to be 7 short answer prompts. They each have a word limit of 250 words. So this is also practice about in writing and being concise. So give yourself some time to work on these. We are a holistic program. So we want to know what's your background and what influenced you to pursue your health careers? What are you interested in terms of your health careers? Any challenges or adversity that you've overcome, and what was the key to being able to do that? What do you want to get out of being in the program? They're questions like that. They're meant to help us really understand who you are and what you would bring to the HCC. It's not about, we're not testing you in any particular way, right? We just want to get to know you and as an applicant. We also want to know what you want to do, because our secret sauce is we're good at finding out what you all want to do and finding out what organizations are looking for, and then making that match. That's the key. That's why those students have a great experience. That's why the organizations have great experiences. And so our online application will show you what those prompts are, and you can take your time. You don't have to write them and put them right into the application. You can practice writing them, on Word documents or other things that you want to do. Then when you're ready, you can put them into the application. You also need a resume. And again, I'll stop for questions here in just a minute. A resume, we really like you to have no more than 2-page resume. 1 or 1.5 is better. We want you to put any relevant paid or non-paid experience you have. It could be health, but it could be, some people work in retail, some people worked in the field, some people worked in, all different settings, and all of that is valuable. Work experience of any kind is valuable. And I know you learned hard work, you learned customer service skills. Some people work in fast food, but please include any relevant paid experience that you have, and also your non-paid experiences. If you volunteer, if you were the head of your health fair on your campus, or part of a student health club or something like that, maybe in your church you did something. So we're looking for whatever what you've done. Health experience, obviously, any health related experience is really important to highlight. And then any leadership roles that you've had, you don't have to have those, but if you were the leader in your student health club, if you led a team project of some kind, you were the captain of your basketball team in high school, or something like that, that's all relevant leadership experience. Last summer I was asking people, how many people learned how to be leaders through playing sports, and I was surprised how many of our students had played sports, and that's how I learned. I was the captain of my baseball team in high school. That's how I started to learn about around leadership and those kinds of things. And then coursework, if you've had any public health classes or your pre-med classes, policy classes, coding classes, those kind of things. If you're good at Excel, really we're looking for people, if you are bilingual or trilingual, we'd like to know your language skills, because a lot of the projects we have are for people who who are bilingual, who can bring that skill to the table. Bicultural, we had a student last year who did an amazing job of outreaching to her population group in her community that had never had mental health outreach before. And she did it in her own language, her own culture, and it really helped make a difference for folks. So definitely put together a resume. We can talk about resume tips in a couple minutes. And then just to know what we're looking for, as I mentioned, we're really looking at you as a holistic applicant. We really look at the combination of these different things. There's not one specific thing, but the reason we ask you those short answer prompts is we want to know what your interest and commitment is to being in healthcare, public health, or behavioral health. We want to know if we're looking for people who want to improve the health and health equity for underserved populations, or other populations too. This is a big one. If you were already in some kind of a pipeline, pathway, or enrichment program before, we like that. We like people who've been in other programs like the Doctors Academy in the Central Valley, the Faces for the Future program, the Richmond Promise, or the Oakland Promise. Like, we're looking for folks, the Coachella Valley, One Future Coachella programs. Jubin knows many of these programs as well. So, but if you came from a pipeline program, maybe your campus has a health career opportunity program on it now, something like that, at McNair Scholars, put those programs on there. California Medicine Scholars Program. And if any of you are in CMSP, but we would love to have more CMSP people participate. And we're looking for people who have health-related coursework that we take, but we really look for your lived experience. What was your experience? Did you face any social, economic, or educational challenges along the way? And ultimately, we're looking for fit. Like, is what you want to do, does it fit with what our organizations have to offer? So, for example, yesterday we had one of our host organizations say, "Hey, Jeff, last year we had a pre-med student she did a fantastic job, but I could tell that our opportunity was a health education opportunity. She's like, I could tell that she was looking for more of a clinical type experience, and so even though she did a great job and she learned a lot, we're looking for someone who's interested in health education this year. So be clear, be honest about what you're looking for, and because you only want to be in a program like this if it's a good fit for you and the organization as well. And we also are looking for people who have good interpersonal skills. I can tell you that our host organizations very consistently now are saying we're looking for people who have the ability to be flexible, adaptable, and resilient. And we've all had to do that with the pandemic and all the other challenges that we've been facing. But so please, if you have those capabilities, which all of you do, but if you are that way, then let's communicate it in your application, because we want folks who are up for that rather than kind of rigidly, well, this is the only thing I want to do. I'm not going to do anything else. And if that's okay, if that's what you are and that's what you want, that's okay. But we are looking for other people, and we might have some fit for you still. So I'm not saying to not do that, but you have to be open. And so these are the kind of things that we are looking at. We do look at your educational experience. We do look at your grade point average, but that is not a determining factor. We have people with a wide range of GPAs that are in the program. We'd like to see what it is, but we don't have a threshold to say, oh, you have to be above a certain amount with your GPA or you're not going to be in the program. We're not like that at all. So whatever your GPA is, put it on there. We look at all that you're bringing to the table. All right, so those are selection criteria. As I mentioned, we apply today. There are some upcoming informational sessions that are probably going to be similar to this one on November 15th and December 6th are some upcoming sessions that you can join. You do not have to join those. In fact, these are some of the same slides that will be part of that session. But if you want to have another go at listening to this, you're more than welcome to be able to do that. And we hope that you will contact us through our website, healthcareers.org, or through our info@healthcareers.org. So I'm going to pause here. We have other things to talk about today, but I'm going to pause here to look at your questions now. So Mindy, you want to help with the questions? And
Sure.
we can
Yep.
people can type it in, but you can also, it's up to you, but they can also open it up and verbally ask as well. But so these would be questions about Health Career Connection specifically. We'll talk about other health career related topics and resumes and things in a couple minutes. So questions about HCC.
All right. So our first question, it looks like there's a wide variety of projects that interns can participate in. How do students get placed in one of these areas? So just kind of curious about what that process looks like.
Great question. So as I mentioned, the process starts by you completing your application and telling us in those short answer questions and in some of the other boxes that we'll check on the application what you're interested in. So that starts, because we don't just assign people to any organization randomly. We look specifically at what people say they're interested in, what skills that they have, what kind of projects do they want to work on. One of the questions on the application is, are you looking for more of an internship that's in health management or health policy, or one that is more pre-med oriented, or community health oriented? We ask a list of questions, biotechnology, because then what we do is we review applicants, we see what your interests are relative to the projects that our host organizations are offering. We then have round one interviews where we learn even more about your skills, your experience, your interests. And then for those students who are selected to go to round two interviews, as I mentioned earlier, you go directly to, we usually send you to 2 or 3 specific health organizations And they would share the projects that they work on. They'd say, oh, we have a project that's a needs assessment. We have a project that's a policy analysis. We have a project to see if we could reduce the wait time in the emergency room, those kind of things. And then you would get to hear that, and you would send us after the interview, we'd send you a questionnaire, and you say, well, I interviewed with these 3 places. I heard the projects that they offered, and here's my ranking of the ones that I would prefer to go to. The organization ranks the students too to see who's the best fit for their projects, and then HCC works with them to make a match, so that that ultimately we want to make a match that you, the applicant, is happy with and enthusiastic about, and also that the organization says, aha, we've got somebody who is going to be a good fit for our culture, for the projects that we have, for the kind of mentorship that we want to provide. So it's a two-way, matching process, and it works pretty well.
Awesome. All right. So next question, are there any citizenship eligibility requirements?
There are not citizenship eligibility requirements. We are open to people who are international students, as long as you would be able to, your visa that you'd have to work out on your own would allow you to be able to do a paid internship experience in the summer that we would offer. We are also open to students who are DACA students or others that are in the process of pursuing citizenship and those kinds of things. So we are open to everyone.
Okay, great. Does this program open every summer?
Yes, so that we've been doing this. This is our 34th summer. So it does open every summer. We do have some fall internships as well for people who might be in a better position to do internships in the fall, either part-time while they're going to school or full-time if they've graduated. But most of the internships are in the summer, and we will definitely have them for summer 2024.
Awesome. All right. Another question is this health experience only or any work volunteer experience?
Yeah, definitely. As mentioned,
I think the thing that one's about on your application, what they should include.
So on your resume, please include any relevant experience that you have. So part of the application is a resume, and that's where you provide your experience. So there's not a bunch of, you're not filling out like, okay, I had this, a question that has it. You would provide that on your resume. So you could show health-related experience, but as I mentioned earlier, any kind of work experience, paid or volunteer, is helpful. And we do understand, and we do know that people in a wide range of work experiences learn all different kinds of skills, and you learn to work. So all are relevant. There is a question that asks for health-related coursework, but there's not a specific one for experience. So you need to put all your experiences on your resume.
Can I just?
And you can write it in the short answer questions. You might also reference your experience in some of the short answer questions. If it says, "Oh, what interests you in the health field?" You might say, "Well, when I did this volunteer experience in my community, around COVID outreach, this made me discover X." So you could still list some of your experiences there, or you could say, "Hey, I was working at McDonald's and I was working really hard and I made some money for school, and then I discovered public health and determined I want to go in that direction." I mean, you can put it there too, but mainly on your resume. But go ahead, Jubin.
The only thing is I was going to add is that I think this question, and I may be wrong, but I think this is somebody's trying to fill out an application, trying to see. I don't want to say so much game this, but trying to game what they want you to read and not to read. And my only thing would be is you don't know who's reading your application, and
That's
this
right.
is not just for HCC but for anything.
That's
So
right.
you don't know. So don't try to game and try to put out forward
Right.
what you think that they want to read
Yeah.
or hear. Because the bottom line is your experience, your volunteer, your work experience is your volunteer and work experience. And if you think that need to put out there, or what's going to make you look better, or trying to get that experience before this one. Like, don't do it, because they like, you know, um, this program, but also all the other programs out there are there to help you and support you. They know that if they really wanted to get someone that has the experience, that would go hire MPH student, somebody who just graduated from public health school to do the work. And uh, so they're not looking for someone who or has a MD or MPH or anything like that. So again, like, if you work as a server, put that there. If you work at Starbucks, if you work at your college bookstore, if you volunteered for 6 months at a nursing home, or I know, like, one of the people that I remember was, this person was a musician, and for like 3 years they would take their cello and go play at a retirement home, and people that have Alzheimer's. And I think that's like such a valid and good quality. Like, you have some sort of skill and you playing, and so, like, so don't sit there and say, oh well, what's my work experience? Or, like, your work experience and your volunteer experience is what it is. You can't magically change it, but you also don't know who's reading your application. So yeah, so I think that's the question. It was,
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think, because when the question popped up, was you're talking about that section. So
Yeah, and your advice is so on target about not only HCC but about other programs too. You really want to put forward who you are. You want them to see who you are and not try to figure out what they're looking. I mean, what they're looking for. I mean, clearly, if an organization said, yes, please share your health work experiences, then yeah, you want to share your health work experiences. That means it is something that's valuable, but it's really about communicating who you are and what you want to do. You want to be selected by a program that's a good fit for you. And that goes, again, graduate programs as well, undergraduate schools. So being honest about who you are and what you want is really important. So I agree. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think you mentioned this in your presentation, but just to confirm, can students who have not yet graduated college participate in the internship?
The vast majority of our students have not yet graduated. Most people do this between their junior and senior year, or they do it some between their sophomore and junior year. Many might do it during their senior year. They would apply during their senior year, but they haven't graduated yet, right? So you're applying in October, you might be graduating in May or something. So we're open to people that have not graduated. I was just emphasizing that we're one of the few programs that has people who have graduated. That's part of it. A lot of the other internship programs want people who are still students, but absolutely, the majority of our interns have not graduated. I will say that we probably have less opportunities for people who are just completing their freshman year of college. That oftentimes we do like people who have a little bit more experience and education under their belt. But if you're going to a community college and you've got work experience and other kinds of experiences after your freshman year, then that might really carry a lot of weight as well. So yeah, but we're open to people at all different levels. And let me say this, if you are earlier in your college career, like just finishing like a freshman now or a sophomore, and you don't get accepted, don't take it personally, and reapply. And actually, people at any of the stages reapply, because the issue is you might be fantastic. We just might not have enough organizations and opportunities to provide that particular year. So if you don't get accepted, please don't hesitate to apply again. And maybe the next time you apply, you do have some more education, you do have some more health related experience, some of those kinds of things.
yeah, and I would just add is that it's free to apply, and it's a good practice. I hope some of you want to apply to competitive programs, and I could tell you that you're not going to magically be able to do those without baby stepping, and this is like a good step. And somebody asked if you have to graduate. No, like, the entire point of HCC is that they want you to be a college student and gain these experiences. Again, if they really wanted to look for people that are graduates, they would go hire MPHs, but they don't. Like, this is the whole point of the program. So, like, and I know that like people, some folks that have imposter syndrome or feeling of inadequacy, like I'm like a big picture of that. So like absolutely like no, definitely like apply. I don't think that you need to have XYZ. And what Mr. Oxendine said, like the worst thing that could happen is you don't get a spot. But what you've done is you've built practice, you've done it before, you've done it and you've gone through the interview and for next year or for another program or for grad school. So it's an experience. It's a lived experience. That I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. And we have designed the reason we have these short answer questions on our application is because that's what you're going to have when you go to other graduate programs or other health profession schools. So it's practice to be able to do that. It's practice to have to talk about yourself and what your career interests are and what your background is and all those things. The reason we have you do, and we also want that information to help inform what we're doing, but it's intentional. We also have a resume because we want you to practice doing your resume. I have a son who's a junior in college right now, and he most of his work experience is in like fast food or retail or those kinds of things, and he's applying for a program now, and he's having his first resume, and he's like, well, Dad, how do I do my resume? It's like, it's normal to be in college and have to practice putting together a resume. And so approach this with a growth mindset, which is like, okay, whatever happens here, I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow, I'm going to be as more steps closer to what I want to do, whether it happens exactly this summer or not, you're going to be closer to what you want to do. And the worst thing you could do is to self-select yourself out of applying to a program. Let the program decide if you're going to be in or not. Don't self-select yourself. I have some stories that I have 4 HCC Health Career Connection alumni who had graduated, and they were applying to graduate schools of public health. And all 4 of them came to me, and these are in different years, and they showed me the schools that they were applying to. And I know these are smart, capable students. And I said, well, gee, I don't see Harvard School of Public Health on your list of places to apply to. And all 4 of them said, well, I would never get accepted, and I would never be able to afford it if I did. They said, otherwise I would go, but I know there's no way I'll get accepted. There's no way I'll be able to afford it. Well, with some encouragement, all 4 of them applied. All 4 of them got accepted. All 4 of them got a full ride plus a stipend to go to Harvard School of Public Health. And all 4 of them, to this day, the people at the School of Public Health still remember these students as some of the best ones that they had. But all 4 of them were not going to apply because of the imposter syndrome. I mean, I understand concern about money is a big thing. But I think the advice of please apply for things that you want to do, put it forward, take a risk. I have the imposter syndrome as well. So, understanding that everybody has the imposter syndrome, and put yourself in the flow of people and opportunity. Allow something good to happen. And if it doesn't happen this time, it's like playing baseball. You get up and bat again, right? So anyway, hope that's helpful.
Yes, Mr. Oxendine, kind of following up on that too. What if you are a non-traditional older student and you just finished your first year? Like, how would your application be considered in that circumstance?
Yeah, well, and we love people with those from those backgrounds. And I think what you do is you use those prompts in the application to tell your story. You say, okay, well, this is where I've come. This is what I'm doing now. You have your resume that shows the experiences that you have, some people are parents and why they didn't go to school earlier. Being a parent is something that's incredibly important, incredibly, shows that you can do a lot of things to being a parent. I mean, so we just want to see who you are. So please apply, and we look at the whole person what you've experienced, what your journey is, where you are in your journey, and then why you want this program, why do you want it now, how will it help you going forward. So please, if you're a non-traditional student in your first year, you're more than welcome to apply.
Great. What determines where interns fall in the stipend range? Like you mentioned a range, I think 4,200 to 6,000. How does that get determined?
So that's determined by one of two sources. One is the organization where you do your internship. Because what we do is we recruit, at the same time we're recruiting students, we're recruiting organizations to host the students. And we want, and our model is that the organizations pay to host the student. They pay the stipend, they pay HCC a program fee for the work that we do, all the educational programming and all those kinds of things. So in some way, some of it is determined by, so there might be, a health plan, for example, that says, oh, well, we want to pay students, $6,000. There might be a biopharma program that says we want to pay students $10,000. So they might decide that, or there might be, a community-based organization that says, hey, all we can afford is, $4,200. So that's one source. So the host organizations decide. And for many of these organizations, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. That's why it was such a careful selection process, because it's a big deal for those organizations to pay out money to have an intern and to spend the time and energy to support the intern. The other source of funding is we do get some grant funding from some organizations that want to support people like you all to get internship experiences and to become public health or professionals or doctors or behavioral health professionals. And so in that case, it's more determined by how much money we have in the grant and how many students we're going to be able to serve. And in some cases, the funders decide how much the stipend. We just got a new grant a couple of days ago to fund interns to work in public health and behavioral health in underserved communities. And the foundation said, this is the stipend that we want you to pay the student. So it was a $5,600 stipend, which is a good stipend. So some of it is set up by those are how that we determine the stipends. And our goal is to get you as much as possible, and at the same time create as much opportunity for students as possible as well.
Next question. How can we research what types of positions or fields are available? And do the most successful applicants actually try to tailor their application toward a specific position or field?
I think we just talked about that.
Well, I would modify that a little bit and just say, if you want to be, so you can see through this presentation, I said we have opportunities that are in public health and behavioral health and life sciences, in health management. We have those kind of opportunities. So it's fine. You can look on our website also to see, we have examples of like the organizations that have hosted our students and that have also the kind of projects that students have done. So it's good to familiarize yourself with that. And if you really know, hey, I am interested in being in biopharma, then you would want to write that in your application. You would want your resume to show that, and you would click. There's an option. I'm interested in biopharma internships. So to that case, you would be tailoring things to the type of internship that you want. Or if you want to be in health management, I think what Jubin, what we're talking about before, is not like putting forward things that you think we want to hear. But if you are specifically interested in one of those areas, it's okay to say, I want to be in health management. And so here's my background. Here's the type of projects I'm interested in. If that's what you want to do, you can be specific about that. And you can learn about those by looking at our website.
Great. Another question, is it possible for someone to do both the 10-week internship and the scholars program at the same time?
No, because as I mentioned, the internship is a full-time experience. So we really do want you to devote your full attention in the summer to your internship experience, because it's both a placement where you learn by doing, hands-on, working in an organization. You are really part of an organization that you're coming to every day, whether it's virtual, or more of them are going to be hybrid or in person. And we want you to really be a sponge and like soak up everything you can in that organization. Then we have workshops every week that you would participate in too. We want you to be fully available for that. Sometimes you're going to get an after hour thing. They're going to say, hey, we're going to have this health fair on Saturday. We'd like you to come work at it. Or, hey, there's a board meeting on Thursday night. So we want you to be fully available to get the most out of your experience and to contribute the most that you can. So you can't do, but because Health Equity Scholars is another 20 hours a week program, and so you couldn't really do both.
Okay, good to know.
But you could do one year and one the next year. You could do it in that way.
And how many applicants get accepted into an internship? Is there like a ratio of applicants to people accepted, or does it just kind of depend?
Just really depends. There's no ratio. There's no target level. There's no percentages. It's all about fit. It's about, and our job is to get as many possibilities as we can. And then your job is to write a good application showing who you are and what you're interested in. And then we will do our best to be able to find a match for you. But we definitely can't accommodate everybody, and we can't accommodate everyone who's qualified. So that's back to my point about if it doesn't work out the first time. But no, we don't have any percentages or targets or
Actually, I have this data that I don't think you would mind if I share. 100% of people that don't apply don't get in.
Exactly.
That's the data that Mr. Oxendine let me share. Is that 100% of people
That's
that don't
right.
apply, you don't get in. So,
yep. The worst thing you could do is to go, oh my gosh, there's too many applicants. I'm not going to get accepted, right? That's 100% that don't apply, don't get in. So please apply. And again, as we've talked about, do it with the growth mindset that, okay, even if I don't get in, it's a really good experience for me to go through the process of doing the application, being interviewed if you get an interview. All that's really good practice as well. And even just writing it, you'll refine your health career interests a little bit more. You'll be better at talking about yourself, those kind of things.
All right, we have another question. It's very likely that HCC would be my first experience in the health field or something health related. Am I less likely to get accepted because I haven't had previous healthcare experience, or should I just not worry about that?
Don't worry about it. I think that's the theme is your experience is what it is right now. And please apply with the experience that you have. And and at the same time, we are applying right now, and we're not going to be interviewing people until late January or early February or something. So you might get some health related experience between now and then too. Maybe you can say, oh, in the winter break, I'm going to be able to volunteer at this community health center, or, I'm going to go on some winter break. Sometimes there are programs where people go to Honduras or Mexico or something like that to do health related work. And so that doesn't mean that you can't keep trying to get some experience, but for now, apply with what you have.
Great. There is someone who's asking that they plan to pursue a physical therapy program. Is there any opportunity that would be good for them?
Well, I always advocate that regardless of which path that you're pursuing, any kind of health related exposure and experience and mentorship networking is useful, because you never know that you might change your mind, or if you're a physical therapist, for example, I needed some physical therapy on my knee this past year. And, I went to the physical therapy office, and there are the physical therapists who are providing services, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. They have to schedule, they have to process how many people are scheduled, and they have to decide how many people can come in a day, and they've got to juggle how many different people are there at the same time, and they've got to bill and contract and all this kind of stuff. Well, so if you want to be a physical therapist and you need to be able to run a physical therapy business someday, or manage a department in the hospital. Well, if you did a health management related internship, guess what? You get to learn about how some of those other things work. And so it's really, I think it's an art to be able to go, okay, I still want to pursue the kind of direction that I'm going in for my clinical, whether it's PT or whether it's OT or whether it's being a doctor and those kind of things. But it is, so you want to still be focused in those ways, but at the same time, you want to be able to learn about other things too, and get exposed to other kinds of things, and you might meet people that are useful. Having said all that, we don't have specific clinical physical therapy internships, but you might be able to be part of an organization that offers physical therapy services. You might be able to arrange to shadow some people. You might be able to work on a project even that has this with some physical therapy related services. So I guess I would encourage you, if you are open to having a broader experience, then you could apply. And or if there might be some more, you'd write that in your short answer questions, and we'd look, okay, are there any opportunities that have physical therapy? And if not, then okay, it's not a good fit. But that's how I would look at it.
And I would just add is that the healthcare field, health careers, it's kind of like a gang, you know. You have to be initiated in somehow. And so if you're initiated somewhere, working through it, people know people, people know people.
That's right.
And you know, and so I think like the way that you should look at it is, what is this going to be like? But you don't know, because you may go experience something and people know people, and or you know, they're connected to a PT office or PT program, or the people that you work with may have someone, you know, their significant other, maybe so
that's right.
You never know. And it's kind of like a gang, you know. You have to be initiated in, but once you're in, you're in, and you get to know other people through other venues and other settings. And so yeah, and so I think like that's how you have to look at it in a way. You know,
Absolutely. You want to
in.
get into the game. You want to be, this, so Health Career Connection, part of our name is the connection, because we're connecting you into the field and into a network of people to support you. And sometimes you can't get into the field necessarily exactly the way that you want to in a certain moment, but just being in it, as Jubin is saying, just being in it is really is key. And you'll never know. Yeah, maybe the person that you work for, it turns out that their best friend runs a physical therapy clinic, you know, a few miles away, and then that person can connect you there, and that becomes your mentor, and you do clinical hours, and you get into PT program. You never know. So
yeah, and I think that's why when you look at the data, most people that go into health careers, medicine or health careers, either have a mother who's a nurse, dad is a doctor, uncle who's a, you know, paramedic. And so I think like that's why like you see that data, it's because they have those interconnections through family. And so if you're first gen and you don't have any of those opportunities, like that's why like HCC exists, to give you
exactly.
to kind of be like your gang initiator. I don't know how to put it, but
yeah, it's exactly why we exist. We want it we want to level the playing field so that you can, you know, get in and pursue what's possible. And we also want you to meet your authentic health career. If I can share a little bit more, how much time do we have till 11:30? Is that what we have? Okay.
Yep.
So let me share a little bit more about some things you can do now. If I can get my screen to unlock again. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Because I can tell you, I've worked with probably 10,000 students now so far between HCC and UC Berkeley and Harvard, and somehow I've got a drawing thing going on here, which I don't know how to get out of that.
Press right click.
Yep. Okay.
And then you should be able to get out of it. You see the little thing on the bottom?
It looks like I can. Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Okay, thank you. Now, why am my screen is stopped? But what I was going to say is, I can tell you how many people were really like, what I love is when people come into HCC, they want to be doctors, and then they say, oh, and I like public health too now. And I'd say the majority of the people that go in HCC, they end up deciding afterwards, I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to get my MPH because I want to get public health too, or I want to be able to.
Okay, try now. It may work.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks, Jubin. Or I want to be able to become a health management person it's still interesting here. Let's try. I don't know why it's here. Let me get out of this here. All right, let's try again. That should work. I think I'm sharing wrong. All right, I'm gonna share with you a little bit about a couple of our HCC alums, and then I'll share some other things that we can do. So, speaking of somebody who got their MPH and a MD, so this is Dr. Evita Limon Rocha. She is Health Career Connection alumna. She's from the Inland Empire, and she didn't start out necessarily wanting to be a doctor, but then I think she was at UC Riverside. She ended up going her HCC internship. She got exposed to advocacy. So in addition to being a doctor, there's really important work that advocacy organizations do to help advocate for the health and health policy change. But then she did decide she wanted to go to medical school, but she did want that master in public health as well. She became a psychiatrist. So she's a doctor first and then a psychiatrist. And she ended up continuing to be a policy advocate. She's returned to her home in the Inland Empire, and she's a child and adolescent and adult psychiatrist now. And she just became, I'm so proud of this, she just became the chair of the UC Riverside Medical School Admissions Committee. How about that? And so talk about somebody who's from the local community who now, coming full circle, is in charge of admissions at the medical school in her community. That's fantastic, right? And so, but her MPH was really helpful for her to be able to do that in her experience. And she's also on the board now of the organization, the advocacy organization, Reach Out, where she did her HCC internship. So this is an example. These are some of our other alums that are doing great work. Brittany Giles, the woman who's furthest away from me, she now works for the de Beaumont Foundation, and she is in charge of health equity, health workforce initiatives there. These folks are getting their master's in public health and master's in public policy here. So I'm showing these pictures because these are folks who were just like you, attending a workshop just like this, and then applied and ended up having a great HCC experience and ended up going on to graduate school, and they're living what we call their authentic health career. So we'll insert your picture here as well going forward. So what else can you do now besides apply to HCC? There's a lot of other things that you can do. There are other summer internship programs and fellowships that you can pursue that might be a better fit. There's something called the CDC Lewis internship program after Congressman John R. Lewis. It's a great program. You could work at multiple, I think UCLA, University of Michigan, Columbia, Morehouse University, Kennedy Krieger Institute, which is Johns Hopkins. So you apply to those programs and they would place you. And these are a little bit more public health oriented. They're a little bit more based in an academic setting where you probably do more research in those kinds of settings. They're paid summer internships for undergraduate students as well. And so we have many people who do that program and HCC. So I'd highly recommend the CDC. It's one of our partner programs, the CDC Lewis internship. The Fergus Fellowship program, I think, is for people who've got their MPH already, but the Lewis internship program, I highly recommend. And those applications are beginning to be open now, and I think they're due at the end of January. For those of you interested in medicine, the Summer Health Professions Education Program is a really important program, SHPEP program, but Summer Health Professions Education Program. It's run by the American Academy of Medical Colleges, AAMC, in DC. They also have 12 locations around the country. I believe Western University in the Inland Empire and UCLA may have Summer Health Professions Education programs, but they have many of those. This is designed for people who are freshmen and sophomore, like finishing your freshman and sophomore years. You would apply to that. It is more focused on preparing you for medical school, but it does expose you to other health career options as well. And I can't tell you how many students I've had that have been part of that have had a great experience. So their application just launched on November the 1st, and it will be open until January, sometime in January. Really, really, those of you that are more clinically focused, Really recommend, and particularly those of you that are first and second years, really recommend that program. Kaiser Permanente has something called KP Launch, has great internship programs throughout California. Those of you interested in health management, the University of Michigan has a great summer enrichment program that's been around for longer than HCC. They're like 40 years. But that one you have to go to the University of Michigan campus to stay on campus in the summer with them. So these are some great other opportunities that you can pursue. And there are many others in your area. There's more with this health professions, health career opportunity program in California that got funded, where there may be more internships at CSU and UC schools. I know UC Irvine, for example, has something called UC Pre-Health Prime now that is going to be offering summer internships through that program. So there's a lot out there. It's a really good time to be pursuing these kind of opportunities. Ultimately, we want you to achieve what we call your authentic health career. And we use that term authentic on purpose because it's the one that suits your unique talents, passions, goals, lived experience. That's why we're talking about, don't write your essay as if submit your application as if you're trying to be somebody that the organization wants you to be. Put forward who you are, right? Because we want you to find that authentic health career, because you could be a doctor and maybe that's your career path, but it might end up being that you don't really want to be a doctor. Ultimately, maybe your family wants you to be a doctor. Maybe you've always thought you wanted to be a doctor, but it's better to figure out, okay, this is who I am. This is who I really want to be. This is the impact I really want to have in order to be successful. That's what HCC is about. That's what I'm all about, helping you be able to do. We only have a couple minutes here, so I'm not going to, I have a framework that I've used with these 10,000 students to discover their authentic health career. And it's written in a book that I have called You Don't Have to Be a Doctor, which isn't talking you out of being a doctor. It's just helping you make a well-informed choice. But I found that's your pathway to your authentic health career that you can pursue, first of all, getting exposure to what's possible. Thanks for being here today. You're getting exposure to what's possible by being all part of PreMed CC's. You have incredible exposure that is provided by PreMed CC, and you're really fortunate to be able to do that. Then you have to kind of assess, okay, well, who am I? What do I want? What am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? What are my values? How do I want to prioritize my life versus career, going forward, those kinds of things. And then you get some practical experience. That's why internships are really important. That's why work experience post-undergraduate is really important, in my opinion, before you apply to graduate school, because experience helps you know if what you think you want to do is what you want to do. And it also helps you make the case for being able to do it. The more you have on your resume, the more chances you have to get accepted where you want to go. Then you have to pursue a direction and actively pursue it. Some of you might be going, well, do I be a doctor? Do I do public health? Or do I want to do both? And how do I figure that out? That kind of a thing. But choose 1 to 3 directions that you're going to pursue. And then notice your education comes after that. Your graduate education in particular, even your upper division major in undergraduate should be kind of tied to what direction that you're going in, because you want to get the right knowledge, skills, connections, and credentials to get you to where you want to go. And after that, you're going to get good education, but you got to be good at packaging yourself. You got to have a good resume, good cover letter, elevator speech, LinkedIn profile. Everybody needs to have a good LinkedIn profile now. Really important. That a lot of employers, a lot of health profession schools, a lot of things are happening by being in LinkedIn. And your networking is so much better using your alumni network if you have a good LinkedIn profile. As I mentioned, it's either network or not work. You need a good personal support network as well as a good professional support network. You got to be in the job and as in the game, as Jubin said. So you got to build those networking skills. Then you got to believe in yourself. You got to say, okay, imposter syndrome is normal. Literally 70-some% of the population has imposter syndrome. So but you got to go for it. Go for what you want. Have the courage to go for it. And then realize, there's going to be a process of learning and adjustment that sometimes you'll get what you want. Sometimes you'll be going down the path of being a health administrator, and you'll say, you know what, I really think I got a calling to be a doctor. So I'm going to shift. One of my HCC alums did that. He was working for Kaiser in a great job. He was well on his way to becoming a very successful health executive. And he said, I have that pull to be a doctor and to serve my community And so he's at 31 years old, is going through the medical school interview process now. And so things may change. Your life circumstances change. Whether you have a family or not makes a difference, could make a difference. So, but you can use this framework to reinvent yourself over time. And I've done this myself for three times. I've reinvented my health career path. You heard I was a health executive. I was an associate dean at a school of public health. I have been a consultant, and now I'm running HCC as my full-time job. All those were done with very careful consideration of all these different things. So these are written out in my book, which I'll share with you in a minute. Each book chapter has this tips on how to do this and stories and exercises and that stuff. But if you can follow this, you can achieve your authentic health career. So I'm encouraging you now to put yourself in the flow of people and opportunities. This is what Jubin was saying. Get yourself into the game by doing things like informational interviews, which is the number one, to me, exposure and networking strategy that you could pursue. And then building your network, using LinkedIn in particular to be able to do that. All of you should find mentors to really help you to be able to leverage those mentors to help you with connections and make decisions. Following your passion and your purpose, and kind of being, as we said earlier, being focused, like, okay, I'm pursuing PT, but also being open that, maybe other things might come along the way. I'm going to be a doctor, but maybe that MPH could be something interesting too, or an MBA. I don't know that we have too much time for resumes and such, but one-page resume is best. Having it be in reverse chronological order of your experiences is important. That's how people look at it. Having you be not just a list of things that you put down that, hey, this is what I did for my summer job. Like, you want to put down, hey, this is the action that I took. These are the results. If you raised money, like if Jubin can have amazing, Jubin founded the UC Davis Pre-Health Professions Conference and ran that for many years, that now has how many thousand students that participate in that and has changed so many people's lives. So instead of just writing, founded the one line, founded the UC Davis Pre-Health Professions Conference, one bullet points, like, and, which now has 7,000 students or 10,000 students that come each year, has had a total of 200,000 students that have been through it. That's a different thing on your resume than I founded this, this conference. So where you can put some things, evidence of showing, let's say you worked in retail, you got an award for customer service, right? Put that on there. I got an award. I worked at Walmart and I was the Walmart Employee of the Month or something like that. Great. Put that on there, right? Or I served over X number of people per year. So in any case, putting that on there that works for you. Have people read your resume. Don't make any grammatical or spacing errors. Don't use wild colors that you think don't stand out because of the colors or the format. Stand out because of the content that you have. And if you don't have a lot of content, that's okay. Put on there what you have and you'll continue to build that. Let's see here. I just want to share you one more thing here. I know we're at time to see if there's any other questions. I do encourage you to have an elevator speech, which is something that you can practice. And you'll have these slides, which is, use your full name. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but there's a lot of people aren't going to remember Jeff. They might remember Jeff Oxendine, right? I'm a student at this school. I'm majoring in this area. In this case, we use this for HCC. My current health career direction is this. I want to talk to you because I'm interested in becoming a physical therapist and I'd like to learn more about how the practice works. And so work on your elevator speech because that's good for your interviewing. That's good for meeting, your networking, your informational interviews, that kind of stuff. And ultimately, I encourage you to join some professional associations because that's another way to get you into the club of health. Is join a professional association. Could be Student National Medical Association, Latino Student Medical Association. It could be any of these, American Public Health Association. There's a lot of ways. This puts you into the flow of people and opportunities, right? And then just go confidently in the direction of your dreams. I know that you're going to be able to be successful here. You really can't have the life that you imagine. You got to start by imagining the life you want to have first. So I want you to imagine that authentic health career, the life and the career that you want to have. Put that in your imagination, visualize that, focus on that every day, and then go confidently and apply to HCC, apply to other things that might be scary, and you'll be successful. So last thing I have here is I do have a book that, as I mentioned, you don't have to be a doctor, that helps you to lay out in a very practical way. This is not an academic book, how you can be successful, discover your authentic health career and be successful in it. $9.99 for a electronic version and $21, I think, for a hard copy version. So not a big investment to really help yourself to secure your authentic health career. So I hope all this was helpful today. And I really hope to see you in HCC going forward and in the health field, because we really need you. So the other thing is, when you're thinking about not applying, if that's the case, realize that the people need you. We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough public health or behavioral health people, and not with your lived experience and your skills. So by you putting yourself out there, it's not only going to benefit you, but you're going to benefit a lot of other people who really will benefit. But if you don't apply and if you don't go for it, that's not going to happen. So anyway, Mindy, anything else for today?
We have 2 quick questions, if you have a minute
Yes,
or 2. So the first one is there a fee, like especially like an application fee or anything to participate in the programs?
No.
Okay. That's an easy one. And then the final question, are there opportunities to make good connections, and can we ask people to give us letters of recommendation after participating?
Yes. So your job is to apply when you get accepted, build relationships with people like your preceptor in your organization, and have them say, hey, can you write me a strong letter of recommendation? I encourage you to use that word. Can you write me a strong letter of recommendation? I'm not going to be applying just yet. I might be going to work for a couple of years, but will you write me a letter, and then you write down some of the things that you did for them, and the accomplishments you had, and some characteristics that you want them to bring out. And then you keep in touch with that person over the time until you apply. And then once it's time to apply far in advance, you come back to them and say, hey, thanks for agreeing to write me a strong letter. Here's what I'm doing now. Here's my resume. Here's my statement of purpose. See, all these things you're going to be practicing for HCC. You got to give them that stuff, and then they'll write you a letter of recommendation that can help you. So you could do that with your internship people through HCC, but also be cultivating those relationships with faculty members along the way. That might be scary to go to office hours. It might be more fun to go to talk to the GSI or something, but go to office hours. I avoided that myself. And then when I started going, I said, oh, wow, these people they're really helpful. They write letters that open doors. They connect you to other people. They're mentors and all that. So cultivate those relationships before you need them, and then ask them to write you a strong letter of recommendation going forward.
Yeah, I think the whole point of the program is that you get a letter of recommendation, but also you get a letter of recommendation because you're spending full time with that person or that individual. They could also attest to your work quality, like, I don't know, showing up on time, being good with people, being in tough situations, a problem solver, all of these things. That's the good person to ask for a letter of recommendation. And that's actually the point of the program, and the people that are doing these programs is because of that. And some of them may even like you and come and ask you, hey, can I write you a letter? Or, hey, can I be a reference?
Right.
And beside the letter recommendation, they could also be a sponsor, which is totally different than being somebody who writes you a letter of recommendation. And a sponsor is someone, again, it goes back to the whole gang thing, is that they will go and ask, say, hey, I'm really interested in this program. Oh, well, they're more likely to know that the program, and they would go on your behalf and and kind of the whole initiate you, which comes with that of it. And so I think that's what you have to look at it, is going to a summer experience, because it's 10 to 12 weeks, right? 10 weeks. So
10 weeks, right? 10 weeks, yeah. And then but that person might, to your point, they might also say, hey, you're really great. We'd like to hire you afterwards. Or would you like to stay on to do a longer internship? Or can you volunteer to stay on with us? Because then it goes beyond 12 weeks. It could go for a lot longer. It could turn into your job. It could And the more you're there, the more that you get out of it, and the more that you can put something on your resume, your letters of recommendation. I mean, all those kinds of things. So the whole point is that we are trying to put you in a position where you can become part of you gain access to the health field, access to mentors, to graduate school partners, to jobs, and you discover your authentic health career path, and then you can go from where you are to where you want to be, and be part of the HCC family throughout that journey. So that's what we're about. Yeah, and I hope you apply. And if it's not this year, in the future years, and I hope that regardless of whether you're interested in HCC or not, that I can be a resource to you as you pursue your authentic health career. So thank you for having me. Thank you all for being here today. And please pursue your authentic health career. We really need you, and you can have a great life and career as a result. Thanks so much.
Thank